Donald Trump is planning a return to social media. Hi, Dave here from Informed American. I hope you're all having a great day. This news is kind of breaking all over the internet over the last couple hours. You can find a bunch of stories all over the place on this news coming from Trump aide Jason Miller. I've got a story here from CNN Business. Former President Donald Trump is coming back to social media, but this time with his own network. Jason Miller, a longtime advisor and spokesman for Trump's 2020 campaign, told Howard Kurtz on Fox's Media Buzz that Trump will be returning to social media in probably 2 or 3 months. He added that Trump will be on his own platform that will attract tens of millions of new users and completely redefine the game. So, wow, interesting news here. And the question posed to all of you, or that I will pose to all of you, is would you join? I think that's the first thing right off the bat. Got a couple more details here from the story. This is something I think will be the hottest ticket in social media. It's going to completely redefine the game, and everybody's going to be waiting to see what President Trump does, but it will be his own platform. It says that former president has been approached by numerous companies and has been in talks with teams about the new platform. It says the platform is going to be big. Everyone wants him, and he's going to bring millions and millions, tens of millions to his platform. And of course, we all know the story here of Trump being banned across basically every major social media platform. We got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Trump has been banned, and even YouTube has banned President Trump. As I've said a couple weeks ago, that YouTube says, well, maybe we'll reinstate Trump once the threat of violence goes away. And we know that DC is surrounded by a cage, which is supposed to last like 2 or 3 months. Now there is something going on. While Twitter said that Trump is permanently banned, it doesn't seem like that's ever going to go away. There is a Facebook advisory group that is apparently reviewing the ban. So the first question to me is, well, is this real too? Do you think this is actually going to happen? It's a 2 to 3 month timeline, but it is worth reporting on, getting ahead of this a little bit, that this could be coming down. But is this real, or is this maybe an attempt to get himself unbanned? Could it be part of a negotiation? I don't think that's going to be the case, because I don't think Twitter is going to reverse it. And honestly, I think once Facebook comes through with their advisory board, they will uphold the suspension. If you go to Trump's Facebook page, there hasn't been a post since January 6th. And yes, that was the day of the Capitol riot. There's an interesting bit here at the end of the CNN Business article. It says, following Trump's ban on Twitter, Jared Kushner, the former president's son-in-law and senior advisor, intervened when other aides attempted to get Trump on fringe social media platforms such as Parler and Gab. And many of you are familiar with that. We've reported in video and in written articles about Parler and Gab. Parler's had its own host of problems. It basically got taken down by Amazon. They used the back-end Amazon Web Services to host the site and to run the network, and Amazon pulled the plug, and Parler was dead. There was also a massive leak of all Parler users getting their information sent out into the public, which is bad. You certainly don't want that if you're a member of a social media group. And Gab has its own problems. It bills itself as a free speech platform. It's similar to Twitter, but I think the site is very slow. I never had an account on either one of them. I checked them out a little bit, but it's not great, I will say. And if you go on Gab, even if the website is very slow, I find it very clunky, and I just don't see much value in joining. But I'd be curious what you all think of this. Do you think this thing is actually going to come down? How big will it be? Now, 2 to 3 months, so we're looking at basically, May, June of a potential launch. And the question I wonder about this as well is, let's just say this thing launches. I do think there would be a lot of people who would join initially. I mean, people are dying for some sort of another outlet outside of this monopoly that's being held by Google, Facebook, and Twitter. People are looking for a way to express themselves freely. And I'm not talking about whatever you so-called hate speech or something like that, just to be able to talk freely without the hall monitors and the censors coming out and basically knocking people out, banning them, and all that. It does make you wonder on one sense. First of all, I would say be careful if you join, because we've seen what happened to what an alternative group like Parler. All the user data was hacked and released to the public, and certainly reported on the media. So if you did ever have an account there, I would say be careful. There may be some places you can go check to see if your information was leaked. So that's dangerous. Whatever social media outlet President Trump does launch will be attacked by the media. There will be similar attempts to get it shut down. So President Trump, if you're listening, I hope whatever you're planning, you have some sort of robust system where, say, an Amazon can't just turn off the light switch and have the entire site go down. So I'd be curious to know what's going on there. But it is interesting because one of the arguments to social media censorship is people say, well, it's a private company, and if you don't like it, well, go create your own social media platform, which is hilarious for the average person, because, I and you don't have the ability to simply create a social media platform, particularly in the face of these giant monopolies who gobble up all other competition. And at this point, they just have complete market dominance. So what are the chances that a Trump social media could actually do well? Now, President Trump, on his own, he does actually have the ability, apparently, with his business connections and many, many millions and billions of dollars, to actually have the money, the resources, and the clout to be able to form something new. So I think that is very, very interesting. Well, you and I can't just go out and create our own platforms. Apparently, President Trump can. And it remains to be seen over the coming couple of months to see what launches and what it looks like. Now, will it look like a Twitter? Will it look like a Facebook? Will it be some combination of the two, or something completely different? And it'd be very interesting for conservative-minded folks to be able to gather and be able to gather online and discuss things without being on these platforms that are essentially hostile to them. And it does bring up another interesting point, which is, I think, beyond the free speech issue, not just simply being able to speak freely, which you can do on a place like Gab. The question is anybody listening? And further, will it simply become an echo chamber? I think beyond just being able to speak freely is the ability to affect change within the culture. As we talked about here, certainly with things like cancel culture. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and many of you are really angry about this, particularly. And I think the biggest point of seeing is, well, Dr. Seuss is bad, and Pepe Le Pew is bad. Meanwhile, there's plenty of filth out there in the culture on television and on social media. So where is this fair standard here? And none of you can see it, and nobody can really explain it. So we're left with a bunch of things getting canceled, no consistency in the culture. We need a way, or I think people feel like they need a way to be able to fight back. And you can only do so, I think, is if you're engaged in discourse. Now, if all that discourse from the one side is just simply shoved off into another place, let's just say, for example, en masse conservatives, centrists, and maybe even, and I think this platform would attract some liberals. Let's just say, for example, they all leave Twitter and Facebook and they go on whatever this new Trump platform is. Well, are you affecting the discourse in the larger culture? Because on Facebook and Twitter, that's where it's happening. So are you just sitting here in an echo chamber, yelling at the sky and no one's listening? Or maybe you can cross-post stuff like that. I think that's the main point here. Yes, we certainly need a place to speak freely, but we also need to be able to affect the culture. We need to be able to engage in this culture war, and that's really what's been happening here. Silencing people on the major monopolistic platforms like Twitter and Facebook. The net result is that becomes an echo chamber, but it has a bigger impact on the culture. It becomes more of a left-wing centrist echo chamber. And there are very few dissenting voices. There aren't as many as there used to be, certainly. And the more people that get banned, the worse and worse it gets. So that would be sort of my one is account security. I think that's a real concern. Being able to join this network and not having your data compromised. And yes, be careful what you say when you join, because well, first of all, be nice to people anyway. I think that's a good rule of thumb. When you're out there, anything you say on social media can come back to haunt you. So be careful there. But that applies that applies here as well. We have a comment section, and we encourage you all to speak. And I do want to get your thoughts on this, but beware that you could be using a fake name or something like that, and that's fine. I don't care if you use a fake name, but because I do want to hear your thoughts. But just be careful. And the main point is something like a Donald Trump social media will be a massive, massive target, and by extension, there will be a target on you. And would that potentially discourage you from joining? Curious what you think about that. But even everything I said about having a potential echo chamber, maybe a conservative echo chamber, would it be potentially outweighed by the fact that yes, there is actually competition out there? I think we all want strong competition. Yes, I've said, as I think many of you agree, these companies like Twitter and Facebook are monopolies. A lot of it is protected by the government. A lot of it is just by the fact that this is kind of the way we allow things to run in the United States. One becomes the dominant platform, and that's kind of it. And while it certainly is possible for another company to overtake them, once a company reaches market dominance, it becomes very, very difficult to take them down through competition. But this could actually be a path, I would say, although I am a bit skeptical. I'm a bit skeptical that this will even launch. I'm a bit skeptical that even if enough people could affect the national conversation, maybe it's possible. Maybe if it becomes profitable, maybe it could siphon off some advertising dollars away from Twitter and Facebook and potentially YouTube if they have a video streaming option there, like we have here on Facebook. And yes, I encourage you to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/theinformedamerican. Always want you to head on over here if this is how you're watching the video. Comment on all our stuff. So we love to get that engagement. Would you be willing to join a so-called Trump social media? And I'm curious what they would brand it. I don't think it would be, Trump media. Maybe there was some rumors shortly after President Trump left office that he would maybe form some sort of a media TV company, something like that. So that doesn't seem to be the path that he's going down. So this is I think this is one that's certainly worth watching. I think above all, I think my conclusion here was it'll be good to get some competition and just to see where this thing rolls. Because I think we do need freer speech in our country, and we do need this crazy censorship and cancel culture. It's going to spiral out of control with potentially dangerous consequences. And I think we need it's not even, and I'm not talking about hate speech or anything like that. But I see a lot of arguments out there as well. We need to, for the sake of free speech, we need to even allow speech that is unpopular. But I would wager not all of the speech that's being silenced is unpopular. In fact, there's a lot of popular sentiment out there that has been silenced and canceled. So I think it would be interesting to see popular sentiment being allowed to run wild. Wow, that's dangerous, huh? Wow, the majority of people agree on one position, and they're not doing it from a perspective of hatred or any kind of animus. But what we see, that's okay. Isn't that the way we operated for decades and hundreds of years, to allow people to express themselves? And yes, there are some consequences. I understand that argument. But part of the thing with free speech is, if it's free, what should the consequences? How can you have free speech if you can be silenced and basically be put in an online jail? And that is right now where President Trump sits. He's sitting in online jail. He's essentially been reduced to issuing letters, statements from his office, and Fox News and Fox Business have allowed some of his appearances, but he doesn't nearly have the reach that he did before. So I want to know what you think about this. We could be looking at a release in May or June of a new social media platform that could take on the titans, the monopolies that exist right now. One last thing before I get out of here. There's a Fox News also ran a similar article here, but I thought this was interesting here. It says, in the meantime, this follows it, so we're moving on a little bit from the social media announcement. In the meantime, Miller said that Trump will continue to endorse Republican candidates, teasing one that is expected to come Monday. Pay attention to Google tomorrow on Monday. There's a big endorsement that's coming. It's going to really shake things up, the political landscape in Georgia. It's big. It's coming tomorrow, so just be sure to tune in. What was that Jason Miller was teasing? Well, Story here from Politico. Trump looms to take down Raffensperger in Georgia. This was the Georgia Secretary of State, who remember the Trump phone call to the Georgia election officials. Trump, not a big fan of Raffensperger. So now Trump is endorsing a primary challenger, Representative Jody Hice. And you can read the rest of this. I'm not going to go through the entirety, but I thought so if you were interested in what that was, if you happen to catch that article, that tease, and if you missed the follow-up, that's what it is. Trump now getting involved in Georgia state politics and following what I spoke about just a couple of weeks ago about Trump trying now what his role in the Republican Party will be. As I said, I don't think he's going to run for office ever again, but his new job, I guess, or his new mission and his focus is going to become a Republican kingmaker, the man with a massive following, a massive ability to fundraise, and now playing within the Republican Party to endorse or oppose certain candidates within the party. So I think this is further evidence of Trump moving in that direction. I want to know what you think about that. Let me know down below about the potential primary of Georgia Secretary of State. But I also want to know, comment down below what you think of this announcement that Trump is planning to launch his own social media platform. Will you join? Let me know what you think down below. If you're watching on Facebook, as I said, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, where also President Trump is banned, please hit the like button, and we'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. We always want you to hang out here at informedamerican.com. Comment down below right on the site and join 250,000 subscribers to join our absolutely free email list. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.